All right, you can go ahead whenever you're ready with the introduction, or we can record that later if you want.
I prefer to do that later. I'm gonna
Yeah.
jump right in with them.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and mute, and it's yours.
Alrighty, so thank you guys for joining us with Plugged In with YP. We really, really appreciate you on a great Sunday. We like to do these on Sundays, so everybody's in the mood for a good work week, regardless of where you stand with being an entrepreneur or a 9-to-5 on this podcast. As I told you guys right before we started recording, just for our listeners' sake, this is a versus battle between entrepreneurs and 9-to-5ers. You did definitely some of our panelists today are both. I'm both as well, but we definitely wanted to play off that since versus has been so popular during the quarantine, pandemic, syndemic, whatever you calling it right now. But the coronavirus definitely very poignant. We wanted to play off that. So that's where the idea came from. And we are going to learn about pros, cons, but tell yourself in a past life, if when you were 12, before you started your business, if a business failed, what would you tell yourself between then and now? So super excited. I definitely want to start with everybody just giving a short introduction of themselves. As anyone that may be listening to a previous podcast, I'm Celene Craig, and I'm a public health professional, and I definitely stand on both sides of the coin. But in this role today, I will be, I'll stand on the side as a 9-to-5er, as I just got a new position and I just let them know that was my new news. So I'll stand on 9-to-5 today. I'm sure 9-to-5er today. So thank you so much for joining us, all of you all. We have 5 wonderful individuals here today, and I would love for them to really briefly just share where they stand on what side of the coin today, if it's both or one or the other of that, and as well as their profession, and just a little short bit about what they do. So we'll start off with ladies first. Miss Ashley, go ahead and bring us on in. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you so much. And in terms of myself, I'll start with the thing that pays me the highest. I am the manager of learner experience for a marketing technology company. And in that role, I serve as a program manager, leading a team of instructional designers and content producers to create learning experiences that teach and educate our customers and partners on how to use our products. In addition to that, I'm also a creative writer, I am a certified yoga instructor, and I am a caterer.
So she has multiple sides to her. Right.
Yes, I'm holistic in nature.
Holistic approach in getting the bag. We understand. We understand, Ashley. All right, Miss Kaila.
Hey. So my name is Kaila Epps. I am on the entrepreneur side of the coin. I can speak to both though, as I was working corporate last year at a Fortune 500 company. So I am the founder and career coach at the Recruit Refinery LLC, where I empower Black millennial women to build the professional skills needed to secure the job. I've been doing that for quite a while. I'm certified as a professional coach, and I also have another business that I'm getting up and running as a certified pole dance instructor. So for my ladies only out there who want to get in shape or tap into that inner baddie, you can hit me up for that as well.
Why are we gender discriminating against men?
I mean,
don't go down there rabbit hole.
They can take yoga with me. I'll do yoga for the guys, and you can do pole dancing for the girls.
We can have a joint session.
Yes, we can do that. We do pole leg sessions. I'm just teasing you, don't go down the rabbit hole with me today. Like, y'all are gonna have fun. I'm not real, uptight. This is we're business, young professionals, but definitely want y'all to have fun on a Sunday. I'm the only person that's actually at work, since this is a work trip for me. But everybody else, y'all enjoy yourselves. I'm just teasing you. But I love to hear that. Definitely wonderful that you even are starting new business, even though you left corporate only of last year. So awesome. I love to hear it. Thank you so much, ladies. Any of the gentlemen, feel free to jump on and introduce yourselves.
Well, sure thing. I'll actually follow up with Kaila. So I was actually working in corporate America up until April of last year. And so now I'm a full-time entrepreneur as well. So my business partner here, John Clark. And we
Okay.
launched JJRE Group, which is a socially responsible real estate network. And we strive to provide clean and affordable housing for marginalized communities. Really here in the city of Atlanta, of course, we want to expand that. We're doing everything to combat gentrification. So we're trying to find ways to increase affordable housing in the city. So we have that, and we also have a residential and commercial cleaning service that's also been taken off. So my background is in engineering and I have an MBA as well. So being able to kind of use all those problem solving skills to a life as an entrepreneur has definitely been helpful. And John here.
Yeah, I'm John. I'm the other half of JJRE Group, and Josh already gave you all our background in different businesses, all our hand in different pots and everything. Business has been doing very well during the pandemic. I feel like this has been a great opportunity for a lot of people to start a business or expand their current businesses. I have a background in accounting. I do all the accounting for both of the businesses. I also work a 9 to 5. I am a senior product analyst. So busy is an understatement, but it's definitely been an exciting time.
Awesome. We appreciate you guys. I love to see the cohesive. Everybody's like, no, I want to. Business partner left me. She was a soror too, and she was like, I want my own business. I was like, what? It's so great to have a partner, especially when y'all are fresh to being entrepreneurs. But we'll get into that. But thank you so much, gentlemen. Mr. Jamal, last but certainly not least.
Yes. So thank you for having me. My name is Jamal Lewis. I will be on both sides, just based on the nature of my 9 to 5 job, as well as like my entrepreneurial background. I think it will make sense. My title is Economic Opportunity Manager. I work for a statewide public-private partnership called the Partnership for Inclusive Innovation. And what we do is we look to facilitate access and opportunity statewide to improve socioeconomic equity throughout the state. And we just really believe that that's the best way to accomplish that is through innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship.
Awesome.
And then,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and then on the business side, I'm a landlord, so own property, and that's like the entrepreneurial side. So really just, I'm new, well, I won't say new, but I'm about almost 2 years into that. And so just really learning how to balance that and understanding the importance of, purchasing and having, really quality properties and how beneficial that can be as far as managing those assets.
Awesome. So you're a landlord. So that with the memorandum that was just lifted, I think you're pretty busy right now, I would assume, with trying to figure all that out with everybody with their renting status. But thank you so much. I'm gonna give y'all a couple of quick data points really quick, just so we can set the stage. And definitely, I know I've heard some of you all that became entrepreneurs last year. And so, of course, like I said, not sure if that's due to COVID, due to passion, or it was just the right time because you were sitting at home on your 9 to 5. You wanted to start some new ideas or really just make that dive. But COVID-19 really has affected entrepreneurship. And I will say that there's been about a 22% decrease. That's about 3.3 million of active business owners between February 2020 and April 2020. And African Americans specifically were hit extremely hard with a 41% decrease in business activity. And African Americans have still been experiencing business loss as small business owners through May and June of 2020, about 26 to 19%. So definitely some data points to throw out there. This is definitely not for the lighthearted to be an entrepreneur, but it's not for the lighthearted either. I know there was a lot of mental health challenges that certain people that were on their 9 to 5s were facing as well. So definitely wanted to put those points in there, and I will share a couple more. But I definitely want to know how you all said a mouthful. I used to be a teacher, and I always tell somebody, break it down to a 5th grade level. Y'all are talking about social innovation and social responsibility for equitable housing and all kind of stuff, cool stuff. But except for the poll, now that probably be explainable. But Definitely want to definitely want to break some of these down a little bit more for our listeners to really show how did you get on that path, because that's definitely a jump, especially recently for some of you all, of how you kind of got where you were. These aren't, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, you know, they're not straight paths. So definitely want to hear how that came to be, and if how really to focus on how you made that jump as well, if you or if you how you've been managing both with being on the path that some of you all are taking on a dual path like myself. So I would love to hear that. It doesn't matter, we won't do ladies first again, but whoever wants to share if they had an interesting path or something that stood out of how it made a pivot, or you know, you rebound, we would love to hear how that path came to be where it is today.
Okay.
I can. Oh, well, go. You can go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna just say, for me getting into code, I graduated college back in 2007. 2007 graduated college, 2008, the big housing market crash and economic crash, right? So I was actually laid off during that time, and was laid off for like 9 months, standing in those long lines, trying to get work and couldn't find work. Ended up landing a job being a beer manager at the Atlanta Braves. And I was like, I never want to be in this situation again where I'm just relying on a company to pay me in order for me to have income coming in. So from there, I started getting into real estate. I teamed up with a coworker at the time that had already started buying some of the houses that were really cheap during that time. And she actually put in, it really was ironic how it happened. She actually put in too many bids on a house, on too many houses at one time. All of them got accepted. And she was like, hey, I got a house that's $20,000 that you know I can't get. Before I give it back, do you want it? And I was like, yes, I would love to get into it. It's $20,000 a whole house, great. So that's what got me into it. And from there, once I got into it, I started noticing some of the injustices that go on with people with real estate and housing, and rental increases and bad landlords and things like that. So that kind of created that passion to want to start doing socially responsible real estate investing. And that's when I teamed up with Joshua, because after us having some friendships and some conversation for a couple of years, we realized we were on the same page with that.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it. Appreciate that, because my rent went up $100. So I pay, I think, $1,600 now to live in West Midtown for a 2-bedroom. So we appreciate it, because people are not being responsible with these rent increases, okay? Because the job paying that job salaries are not matching it. So we appreciate that. Anybody else? I know Jamal was about to speak. So Jamal, we would love to hear your path. I love that path, because definitely being stuck, if you feel that way, definitely. I love that. Appreciate walking us through that, because that was cool. That was cool. That was what I appreciate. You probably giving her roses for life.
That's pretty cool. Well, yeah, thank you. So my path is a little similar. So I graduated college in 2008. Undergrad, and so I came out in the height of what was the recession, and so I went directly into entrepreneurship. So I actually my background is marketing and sport management. So I had like a sport management and marketing company where I worked with professional athletes, doing a lot of brand management and understanding like the personal branding element. And then through that, just went through some trials and just, being a first time entrepreneur, not really understanding how to scale and sustain business, transitioned out of that. And then during that time, I was introduced by an MBA career coach into public administration, which is where I ended up getting my master's. And so I always thought I wanted to get an MBA. And as we started talking about what I was passionate about, I've always had a passion about real estate, and affordable housing was something, and working with people, building communities, understanding how those things came together. He said, hey, you should look into the MPA program, because I think it fits and is more alignment as far as like impact, social impact with what you want to do. And so that led my path into economic development. So when I got my master's, got into economic development, started working at the state. So I've worked at the state level, local level, and now public-private partnership level. And that has just really taught me how to understand community building, but as well as economics, like what makes communities in certain areas and land attractive. And I've just continued to really follow real estate in Atlanta, as well as statewide, and understanding like what's happening. A lot of these challenges we are experiencing here are, amplified in the very rural, remote parts of Georgia. So that's really like why I love what I do now, as far as the 9 to 5 side, is that I get to work with the suburban, the rural, and urban areas, and it's been, it's really been a really great experience for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is an interesting path. Kaila or Ashley, both you don't have to. I just wanted to bring the female into the path. I would love to hear from one of you on. We can move forward after that.
I can definitely go. So definitely a non-traditional route getting into it. So after I graduated from Spelman, ended up, so I was going to school to become a pediatric cardiovascular surgeon, but a lot was going on with that. So took a gap year, moved to Chicago.
Overachiever.
Girl. And started working for different nonprofits. So the first one, I was teaching algebra to high school seniors on the South Side, realizing I didn't need to go into the medicine to have a direct impact on somebody's life. And then, okay, HBCUs. And then from there, hit a glass ceiling, went to a different nonprofit where we were developing business etiquette and professional development skills and interns and putting them into paid internships with Fortune 500 companies. And so that's where my drive for development came from. Development of others personally and professionally, and then also for myself, because every point in my career where I pivoted, I wasn't getting developed how I needed to be. And I expressed that with my managers, and you'd be surprised, a lot of them were like, I don't know how to develop you, or we're not getting the training to be able to manage you that way. So I left that job, went to business school, got my MBA in general management, but was very much interested in human capital. So went into human resources as a business partner at that company I left last year, moved to Georgia, was working in their plant. And I've always wanted to have my own business, and I thought it was going to be consulting. And then a lot of people told me I should do career coaching, looked a little bit into that, had some mentors. And then with everything that was going on during COVID, working in HR was just completely crazy. And medical workers obviously had it the worst, but being the people doing all the contact tracing, calling folks, people blowing your phone up at 4 a.m., 8 p.m., I just was getting sick from the stress. Like literally the stress was making me physically sick. And some loved ones around me were like, just quit your job, go all in with your coaching. So had to step out on faith, and was not where I wanted to be financially doing all that stuff, but literally trusting in God. The development things I had, like I said, I got my certification to coach at that point. And so I've been all in ever since.
Wow.
Awesome. Yeah. You stepped out on faith huge, big time. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it. Go ahead, Ashley. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just going to share. So as a 9-to-5er on the conversation, my path through my career has actually been a little untraditional as well. My mother is a senior instructional systems designer, and I worked for her from the time I was about 15 years old until I graduated with a degree in political science. So my initial career trajectory was to go into politics. And around 2010 was the passage of the Honest Leadership Open Government Act, like somewhere in that time. And so I decided that I would teach lobbyists how to lobby. And yeah, right. Every girl's dream. And so from there, I explained to my mother that that's what I wanted to do, not really having a sense of what she did professionally. And she encouraged me to get a certificate in instructional systems design, which is basically the study of applying adult learning methodology to teaching people how to do stuff. And from the moment I sat in my first master's course, I knew that this was where my life was supposed to go, and that this was the thing I was put on this earth to do. And so it's crazy because essentially since 2011 until now, I have been able to propel my career forward into the point where I'm now, not only am I developing curriculum, but I'm also managing people and mentoring and coaching people into how to break into this industry, because once you're in the industry, it's very lucrative. But for a lot of people, it's difficult understanding what we do as instructional designers and how you can be successful at it.
Awesome. Thank you. Because I was like, oh man, they're making these they're making the other side look so good right now. But yes, I love that. I love to hear that as well, because being a 9-to-5, there's definitely pros to it. Not just, I want some financial freedom. I want to be my own boss. I want a flexible work schedule. You know, those are the things I always hear when people say
I have
they
all
want
of those
be
things
an entrepreneur.
now.
Yes, yes. So I see she getting a little competitive with these verses now. No, just wait. But thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, because I totally stand you. Ever since I was a little girl, and before I went to Spelman, I knew I wanted to be, well, not health, but health, medical, somewhere in that aspect. So still going on to, further, and, to hear that, unfortunately, Kaila had a different experience. I hate to have heard that, but it pushed you in a different fire to see that you weren't getting developed in ways. And so it does show both sides, but I want to move into that, because definitely there are some pros and cons, but we're going to start with the cons, because definitely there are clearly pros to both. But we definitely want to hear the downside from each of you all. So I know some of you all are representing different sides, but definitely to hear some of, and I won't even say the downsides or the cons. I always call them areas for opportunity and growth. So we can definitely start with some of those areas when it comes to you all stepping out on faith and not knowing where faith gonna lead you, what stone faith is gonna turn over. You like, I don't even know what it looks like, okay? But I definitely know there are cons to even just as a 9-to-5, as Kaila said, and there's different appetites for people to definitely go out for. So I could see why someone wants to be an entrepreneur as well as a 9-to-5 at the same time, like myself. I like crab legs, but I also like sushi. Those 2 different restaurants. But you got 2 appetites I gotta feed, so I gotta have both. I got to have both. So, but yeah, I definitely understand Ashley as being both as well. So yes, I would love to hear from anybody that wants to share some of the areas for growth that they could see. We're going to, in parentheses, call it cons, but I don't like the word cons and pros. But yeah, some of those areas that you have seen are not as beautiful as, oh, I wake up every day and I can eat breakfast at 10 and then I go work out and then maybe I'll do some work with a client. I always hear those sides of being an entrepreneur while I'm stuck in traffic at 7. So yeah, anybody feel free to share.
I'll jump in. So representing, entrepreneurs full time. I think the biggest thing is it's a complete lifestyle change, right? Where you're used to working a 9-to-5 or something like that, having that set time. When you're working for yourself, you're always on, right? It's really just, you can pull these long hours and not even realize it, because you're just so ingrained in it. It's like, something you're passionate about. It doesn't really seem like you're working, and you look at the time, it's like, wow. So being able to really kind of bring forth that structure, I think that's one of the things, even when I was working for my 9-to-5, I always worked out of a home office. So the idea of working from home, even during the pandemic, it was like, I've been doing this, so I can even double down now that I have my own business to look after for. So that was probably one thing, just kind of that lifestyle, like, okay, you have to wake up at a certain time because you have to do X, Y, Z. And I'm really big on making lists. Like, hey, I want to, and be able to check off at the end of the day. Fred, he laughs at me because I'm like, yo, we need a list. Let's write it down so we can check it off, cross it out. It's like, that's an accomplishment, right? So that's definitely one of those things. Having that form of structure is so much different when you're always on for yourself.
Mm-hmm. I would say a con of working a traditional 9-to-5 is mostly just that, like, you're watching someone else become rich. Mm-hmm. Like that seems to be the biggest, promotion or the biggest incentive to becoming your own boss, is that you're watching someone else actualize their vision and grow in their wealth management.
Mm. Okay, I appreciate that. It's different, I guess, in my field, because in public health, because we work for the federal government, so technically nobody's like getting rich, but we are watching other people different full-time employees. So I definitely saw that. All right, they just got a $1,500 check to speak for 30 minutes and the government paid for that. So in that aspect, I definitely, but I do know for different industries, it's a little different. So that definitely I can relate to. Anyone else want to share a couple or one, thing? I want to harp on too many bad sides.
Yeah, I can 1,000% agree with Josh that structure is key. And then also holding yourself accountable, because again, at a 9 to 5, you have a manager or somebody over you that's kind of, keeping you to deadlines and things that you have to do. And as your own boss, you're running everything that's going on. So if your business is stagnant, it's because of you. If your business is thriving, it's because of you. So it's like, having to have that mindset shift, and surrounding yourself and looking after people or things who are on that path that you're trying to get to. Because a lot of people don't understand, like when I left my job last year, the middle of a pandemic, making almost 6 figures, you know what I mean? I had a good job. I wasn't one of the people laid off. I was fine. And I'm quitting to start my own coaching business. And it's just like people don't understand that. So you have to surround yourself with like-minded people and, read books like Think and Grow Rich, or, watch interviews of people who are on that have that same mindset to keep you in the game and keep you from getting discouraged, because you can get in a rut quick and you can stay there if you let yourself.
Amen. I appreciate that part when you said if your business is flopping or sailing, it's because of you. I appreciate you saying that. I'm in an entrepreneurial entrepreneurial training program, and I hear a lot of people say why their business isn't doing this or that. Well, the market or the customer, but it is up to you as an entrepreneur. So I really appreciate you could have said that for the people way in the back, because people like why my business not doing right? I put out one ad last year. I understand. Ridiculous. I appreciate it. Yes. So I want y'all to pull out y'all breath. And we were also told we have to keep these podcasts a little shorter. We definitely I like to talk. That's what I do. I do podcasts for work. So I can be talking for a whole hour, but I won't keep you all here much longer. But I do want y'all to pull out your brag sheets really quick. That's a tool I learned when trying to obtain my that I'm just about to start is a brag sheet, something we do in the 9 to 5 world. We have to keep a running documentation about the brags that we are able to pull out during our merit increases, during our end of the year reviews. And so what we call brag sheets are those times where you can shine like, well, I did this, you have your quantifiable numbers on there. So I want everyone to just pull out their brag sheet and just share something about a pro that they just love, like the best part that you would want to tell a listener today about why they just love really what they do that much. And I think I'm gonna just say it, everybody here loves what they do. We'll say that. I'll leave that there. So anybody want to go?
I would say starting out, the biggest thing is freedom, like the freedom to create your own, the freedom to have power and say so over what time you work and what type of work you're doing and how you go out and who you want to connect with and things like that. Just the overall freedom of being an entrepreneur, as opposed to working at a job and your manager saying you need to work on this week, or this is, change your assignment from this to this, regardless of how you feel about what you're working on. They just tell you what to work on and you have to do it. Or telling you where you need to travel to every week and this, that, and other. So there are a lot of things with freedom that you get as an entrepreneur. It does come at a cost of, that same freedom, like Josh was saying earlier. If you don't hustle, you don't eat. But you have that freedom if you have the discipline to really make something and do something that you're actually passionate about. So freedom for me is the top pick.
Awesome.
Sorry. Well, I would say that on the opposite end of the spectrum, one of the things that makes going into the corporate world, the 9 to 5 community effective, is you have an ability to chart your own path if you're smart about it. You have to be very intentional about the companies that you allow to hire you, and really having a firm set of your non-negotiables in terms of the culture that you want to work for, the pay that you're willing to accept, and the benefits that you're looking for. And not just, they have dental or health insurance, but how are they paying their employees during family leave? What types of professional development resources are they providing? What is their stance on diversity, equity, and inclusion? So if you are looking at organizations that align with your personal values and beliefs from that standpoint, you do have the opportunity to essentially chart your own path professionally. And you do have the ability to create some kind of agency. What I love about this new transition for employees working from home is that we're really starting to see a clear line between supply and demand, and the supply being from the workforce and demand really coming from organizations that need qualified employees. And they're willing to make those kinds of concessions, like working from home 100% remotely, or having 100% PTO and flex time. Those are things that you can really advocate for yourself, if you're willing to.
Awesome. Those are wonderful points. I appreciate them.
I'll jump in. I want to, jump back to something that was said earlier as far as, the freedom that being an entrepreneur provides, right? So I caution everyone to also be careful about getting 9-to-5 jobs that also provide that same type of freedom, because you run the risk of doing the same things that were discussed. There are no boundaries. You start working beyond your time because no one's telling you where to go, what to do. And that was like a transition, because like the last few opportunities I've had as far as 9-to-5 have been like that. And so I had to do an environmental scan about like my businesses and what I was doing, and saying, hey, I kept saying like I didn't have enough time to, get more properties. I don't have time to drive around and look for stuff. And I realized like I was dedicating so much time because I had so much freedom in the 9-to-5. I'm like, man, I'm just, I'm not utilizing my time properly. So that would be the one thing I would caution everyone, to pay attention to. One opportunity or one pro or two pros that I like to talk about from the 9-to-5 side is that I always like to align the type of jobs I take with my entrepreneurial, interests. So I try to use the job as an opportunity to make mistakes, to learn, to grow, and then be able to transfer that over to, as soon as I log off at 5, right, I can transfer that immediately over. So getting those transferable skills. So, use that opportunity. And then another thing is like the network. You meet in my industry in economic development, you meet people so quickly. You meet people from all spectrums, from commercial real estate to, like I said, federal, local, state government. And so you become connected really quickly. So again, that network transitions over to the entrepreneurial side. And what you find is a lot of people are, the hybrid 9-to-5 entrepreneur. And so it's a good opportunity to connect and build and grow with people.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamal. That was wonderful. I love that. That was a good trick and tip. I like that one. Anyone else?
Yeah, I could go right quick. For the entrepreneur side, bragging, great thing about it is just that you get to directly impact people the way you want to impact and influence them, and change their lives in a way that feeds your soul and is also feeding someone else's. You know what I mean? And it's not just going after somebody else's mission and vision, but your own, and your, changing lives through that aspect. Because for me, being a career coach, I'm focusing more on like the recruiting aspect as you're transitioning, trying to get a promotion or leave your job or re-enter the workforce, whatever. My last client, she was trying to dissolve a business to go back into the workforce. And then we started working together, and she ended up creating a whole new business. And now she's getting speaking engagements, with women empowerment groups and stuff like that. And it's just like, I helped her do that. Like, that's awesome. So just being able to have that as a bragging, that positivity, that pro, that's just like, wow, I'm really changing lives out here. And it's great. And it's impacting the world in a better way.
I shed a virtual tear on that one. That was wonderful. That was so inspiring, Kaila. That was wonderful. I love that. And that was definitely fun, but I definitely love that, Kaila. That was definitely, and I kind of like to take jobs where the mission does really support my soul and passions as well. So from both sides of the coin, you should be doing that for our listeners, just to, know. I will say I would love to hear from anyone. Well, not love to hear, but we would want to hear from someone who has been affected by COVID-19. It doesn't have but I would love for just one person to share if they had something unique experience that they saw something, happen to them that has impacted their 9 to 5 or entrepreneurship.
Yeah. I'll jump in. So 2 parts. I was laid off as a result of the pandemic. We went from, we're not gonna lay off anybody, to, okay, we're just gonna take Fridays off, to, hey, yeah, we gotta let you go. I said, okay, cool. So I was literally that first day, as soon as I was laid off, I started studying for my real estate exam. So I have my real estate license now.
Awesome.
It was just that kind of propelled me into thank you, to moving forward, right? Because it would have been a value add to the business. And so we can save money, save money on in-house deals. We can offer additional services to our clients and investors. And so that was one way. And then the second way, with the cleaning business, for example, people are more conscious of having clean homes. It's just you're more thinking about it now. So it was just the timing of everything was just so, I believe in divine timing. So the timing of everything was just so on point. It was just okay, universe, got it. Let's go.
Awesome. Thank you for that COVID story. But I do have one last question for you all. I definitely want to share. My name used to be Snooki or Cece before Snooki from Jersey Shore. That used to be my name as a little child. And I never really thought about entrepreneurship. I always thought about just going to school. But I wanted baby Jamal's, or just someone even in high school when you were just what I'm gonna do, what would you tell that person before all this got started as a 9-to-5er or as an entrepreneur? What would you tell that person? And even for our listeners, that main takeaway was you want somebody to hear about why you go so hard, or why you're trying to lead in these boardrooms, or why you're trying to make social change on the economic level. We want to hear that that piece of advice, a tip, a trick. Jamal had a real good one. So just those things that you would tell the pre 9-to-5 entrepreneur in you, because I know I would tell Miss Nikki some things.
So I can go first. So for me, I've actually thought about this a couple of times. I encourage anyone in high school or in college, if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, go ahead and start while you're broke. Start your business while you're broke. That is the best time, the best time in life to do it, because you haven't graduated and started this corporate job where you want to start accumulating debt and houses and all of this type stuff, so that, when you're broke and you're starting a business, you have more freedom and flexibility because you have not set these parameters around your life about what it requires for you to survive based off of this paycheck. So that is the biggest tip that I can give anyone in college, high school, and even if you're after all of that post, if you're already in a career, if you can just figure out a way to minimize and go after your dreams, go for it.
John, someone's still broke after post 2 degrees. So and there's John about Spelman, but Spelman got me in debt right now. I was just playing, but yes, I love that one. I love you're more hungry when you broke anyway. You're way more hungry.
And more creative.
I appreciate it. Yes. Anyone else that wants to share for that younger, more broke, hungry, 9-to-5?
I would say feel the fear and do it anyway. I've had tremendous imposter syndrome keeping me from asking certain questions in certain opportunities, but I'm still proud of where I've gone. But once I get there, I look around and I realize that everyone in the room is making it up as they go along.
Ain't they?
Right. So, to be able to tell my younger self that you actually are extremely bright, and you're exactly where you need to be, which is at the head of the room.
Yes, I love it. I love that, Ashley. Yes.
I like Ashley.
Everybody's making it up as they go. Go ahead, Jamal.
I was going to say, Ashley took mine. I was definitely going to touch on imposter syndrome because I think that's something that's big in our community.
Yes.
But I will say the other thing I would talk about is right now, I like to call myself an ownership advocate. So I really advocate for people owning things. You don't have to own your primary residence if you decide renting is better for you, but you should own a property. So I would tell myself, and I kick myself in the butt all the time as I ride through Atlanta, different neighborhoods, and I look at opportunities that I passed up on in my early 20s because I didn't know any better, right? So I would say own something, buy something early, get started. I've seen like people I went to high school with or people I went to college with who, parents or, they might have just been, wise enough to buy themselves something in college, right? And now here we are in our mid 30s and it's almost paid off and, it's been paying for itself. And so I think those opportunities of having equity and building wealth and doing it early and giving your children something, if you decide to have kids, like those things are opportunities. If we start earlier, we can start getting ahead of the curve.
I love that too. Definitely some missed opportunities for myself as I'm still renting today. So it's not a bad place, but I mean, I definitely agree with that, Jamal. Definitely. I love that ownership advocate you said.
Yeah, extreme ownership advocate.
I love that. I love that one. Awesome. One more person that wants to tell their baby self something real quick before we go ahead and get out so y'all can enjoy y'all Sunday suppers. That's how y'all say to the South, Sunday supper. Yeah, go ahead.
I can say something. A lot of things I do around are not faking the funk, and it sounds so cliche, but being true to who you are, a lot of people lose that going through life, especially as we're starting to get 9-to-5s and even going to business school or, college, all these things that you are fed these stories that you have to fit into this cookie cutter box to make it. And that is the furthest thing from the truth, because it's the people who stepped outside the box who are the ones who are really, changing the game. So if you got something that's quirky about you that people might think you're weird about, or you got all these ideas that other people just don't understand, like go with that, live in that, be in that. That is your truth, and if you have a passion around it, utilize it, because that is a strength that you have that can set you apart from other people. And folks will try to beat you down and beat that out of you, but hold on to it, because that's a piece of who you are. That's that grit. That's what's going to keep you going, so just stay true to who you are. If it doesn't feel right, follow your gut. If you need to stand up and speak for something that other people are being quiet about because they're too afraid, speak up, because I've had plenty of opportunities where I needed to speak up about stuff for things to change in a company or within the setting I was in. And if I didn't say nothing, it would have started affecting other people. So, be true to yourself, stand for what's right, and just, don't feel like you have to conform to fit in. Like, choose what's good for you.
I love that, Kaila. Run towards the roar. That's what I heard. Run towards your roar. I love it. I love that. Oh, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. We had some Morgan State and Savannah State in the house, so as we would be remiss if we did not always say all HBCUs matter. I know we shouted out Spelman's first, since we had 2 graduates among us. We have some other HBCUs I want to their due respect and shout out as well before we get out of here. But if anybody has any last little tidbits or they didn't get to share, let it be known now. Forever hearts and mind clear, because we're going to get out of here and not want to keep you all any longer, but we definitely appreciate this time. Anyone have any last things real quick? Cool, there's silence. I'll take it as we move forward. So thank you so much, guys. It wasn't a winner, 9-to-5 versus entrepreneurs. There is no winner, because I heard great things from both sides. And all the verses are like that. I'm like, okay, so who won? Did Soulja Boy or Bow Wow win? I couldn't decide, So I definitely I couldn't make that decision unless it was a Taylor Riley moment. Clearly he lost that time, because you can't have bad technology. Everybody had good technology, but no Taylor Riley moments today, okay? Into our versus battle, I'm Celene Craig. And always, we missed our other co-host Monique, but she will be back for Plugged In with YP. So we appreciate you all. Have a great Sunday, a great week, and you will be hearing from us sooner than later. We're always here for a good time and not a long time. So you all take care as 9-to-5ers and entrepreneurs. Run to yours, feed it, and definitely whatever success you have, surmount it to yourself, whether it's a 9-to-5 or entrepreneur. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for being here today and sharing all them great jewel dropping experience and moments y'all had today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.